Welcome to the Crack of Dawn. This is Dawn Lombardi with the Crack of Dawn. We've got Rich Cardastrano on our directing, and he's doing our cameras. And today I have a very special guest on tonight. Probably won't air for another week maybe, but I have Mr. Grier Torrence. Here's Grier Torrence. And you probably, maybe you've seen him around campus at Miss Porter's school. Grier is the chair of the art department, right? And how long have you been teaching at Porter's?
This is my 27th year.
27 years at Miss Porter's. So a lot of people in Farmington have day students. Would you say most of the day students are maybe not just from Farmington, but close, right?
Yeah.
So like Avon, Farmington, Simsbury. And then how many day students versus how many people that live there? How many girls?
1/3 day.
1/3 is day. My sister's son goes to a private school, and he's a day student. And that's pretty neat. How far do the girls come from that go to Miss Porter's? Like, who's the farthest? I know they have a lot of Chinese, but like...
Yeah, there's a global contingent there. So, yeah, China, Korea, South Korea, yeah.
A lot of people come from it. How about like Nicaragua, those kind of places? Costa Rica, Mexico?
I think, yeah.
A lot?
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? Mm-hmm. I think it's great. I notice a lot of diversity when I'm walking on Main Street, but... that school is an amazing school. When was it founded?
43.
43. I should know that because I paint the sign all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's great. Now, how did you learn of Miss Porter's? How old were you when you got the job here?
I was in my 40s, and I had known about Miss Porter's for a long time.
Yep.
I think because I'm from a boarding school family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Connecticut?
I was born in Bedford, New York.
Oh,
and
really?
I grew up in Hamden, Connecticut.
You did?
Before going to boarding school.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it. Isn't that funny? And then my daughters, I don't know if you know Hamden so well, you might because you were raised there, but did you know that Mrs. Castiglione? So she was Nettie's second grade teacher, and she's very quiet about it. But my dad, of course, was like, "Oh, are you Joe Castiglione's sister?" And she was like, "Yes." And he's the Red Sox announcer who just retired like a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
But she was really quiet about it. But I think there were like 8 of them from Hamden, Connecticut. I loved Hamden. And then if you just keep going, Grier also went to Yale, which is just right around the corner. It's close, right?
Yeah.
Did you grow up on like the Whitney Avenue area?
Yeah, close to Whitney
You did?
Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love Hamden. I worked in Hamden on Whitney Avenue at Young Audiences of Connecticut. So kind of in between my teaching career, I went and did like the arts, and they would come to the schools and everything, and we were right on Whitney Avenue.
Okay.
And there was like this like really healthy food store called like Time to Plant or something. Time. I can't remember where it was, but Hamden also had a really good cheese store on the corner, and then that guy that does David Glass, the cakes that you can buy in the stores and everything, he's from there.
Okay.
And then what year did you go to Yale?
79 to 81.
You did?
Yeah.
And studied painting? Mm-hmm. Just painting?
Just painting.
You did?
Yeah.
And how long were your painting classes?
And well, some art history and a little music theory too, but painting classes were I think maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what mine were.
But most of the time we spent in our studios working independently.
You did?
People would come to the studios to critique.
I've never seen the Yale Art Studios. I've been there a couple times, but the campus is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, we were in the Paul Rudolph building, and there was an open space in the middle and all the studios around that space. And the big critiques at the end of a semester would happen in that large room that we called the pit.
That's what it was called, the pit. Was it near like what do you call it when it's like the square? Square?
Yep.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it was a near square.
Because I've been there. It's gorgeous. It kind of, the architecture is beautiful. I worked in New Haven as a public school teacher, but I was in Fairhaven. And, it wasn't anything like the Yale campus. But we were on there quite often. They gave us a lot of money and helped our kids, that a lot of inner city kids needed the money, and the donations were great from Yale. So that was great. Absolutely. Who was your favorite professor at Yale?
Well, I had applied to Yale to study with Lester Johnson, who paints somewhat in a figurative kind of, not cartoony style, but he comes out of an abstract expressionist tradition.
Like Guston?
Like Guston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He went to
some
Yale, right?
ways.
Didn't he?
Guston taught at Yale for a while.
And then he taught at
He
BU,
didn't go
I
there,
think.
but yeah.
Yeah, I think, and then he
Was
taught
he
at
there
BU.
when you were there?
Yeah, I think he was. So I went to Boston University to study painting, and the big thing was Yale's better, and Grier's always like, don't say that, but whatever, it's just a taboo. But most of my professors at BU went to Yale, so Grier knows a lot of them, which is really, really neat. But our style is kind of neat. The only thing is I don't do oils anymore. I wish I did. People took me a little bit more seriously too. Oh, is that an oil? And it's not that I can't do one. It's just that they take so long to dry.
Yeah.
And so behind us here is one of Grier's. I'm positive it's not an acrylic, which is, it's no problem if you do acrylics, watercolors, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I was trained in just oils, so was he. And it's a lot of fun. I used to love the smell. Mm-hmm. And everybody's like, that's so bad for you. It wasn't really the turpentine that I loved. And now we use odorless. Are you allowed, do you have the girls use odorless?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we weren't allowed to have coffee we weren't allowed to have coffee cups at Boston University because people would mistake the coffee cup for the, they take a sip and they didn't, artists are sometimes sloppy. And so like they just say, oh yeah, I'll just put the thing in the coffee cup. And there were so many times people would take the sip of the coffee, and it was I did it to my husband a couple times. Poison control, 1-800-222-2222. I know it by heart because having all that stuff around my house all the time. And then having the little kids in my house, of course I was scared with the turpentine because it's bad for you.
Yeah.
But the smell of the oil paint was what I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what it is, but there's just something about it. A mechanic might know a similar thing, and I don't know. But yeah, they ooze and they get all over the place. It's very messy, don't you think?
Yeah.
Do you even put the cap back on the oil?
I do.
You really do?
Yeah.
Do you wipe it off and clean it before
No, but I
you put it back on?
for as
And
long as it-
sometimes the oil paint goes right through the cap. You ever had that happen?
Yeah.
It's so funny. So for those of you, especially in the senior center where I used to teach, I was just there on Sunday. I had a 6-hour lunch with my old friend Carolyn. We call her Marilyn because she looks like Marilyn Monroe and loves Marilyn Monroe. But I spent the day at her house critiquing her paintings. And then we went over to the Bristol. I love craft shows. I'm not really a crafty person, and I don't like to buy a lot of crafts. But there's always a bake sale at a craft show. And I hate cooking and I hate baking. So I picked up a whole tray of brownies, which I think my dog just got half of it. But yeah, I came home from work today and it was on the ground with the knife. And the kids were like, Mom, I think the dog dies when it has chocolate. I said, apparently not, because he's still running around. But anyway, that was a fun little afternoon to do. And the weather's been beautiful, beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of, I want to move over towards Grier's painting, and then Rich will probably focus in on it. But he's got quite a big painting behind us. Is it a perfect square? I think it is.
I think it's just off square.
Oh, it really is?
I think. I'm not sure.
And normally you work big most of the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bigger than this, or mostly?
Around the size.
Around the same size?
Yeah.
And then, and he stretches his own canvas, so a lot of people are like, oh, what does that mean? Basically, do you ever put a cross T in the middle? Mm-hmm. Just in case it's really heavy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this one, it's basically 4 pieces of wood. I haven't done it since I was in college, I don't think. But if you go to Blick Art or Jerry's Artorama or a big art store, you'll see that there's pieces of wood. And a lot of people say, what are those for? Maybe like they look like kind of Lego logs. But you put them together. Do you staple gun them too? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, staple them. And then is canvas really expensive now?
It is. It's gone up in the last 10 years or so, but
way cheaper, like way more expensive than, say, when I just grab a canvas that's already stretched, right? Probably.
I think actually you save money if you make your own.
Really? That's what it always was.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe it was more expensive because maybe the prices have gone up. Do you use linen? Mm-hmm. Oh, this is linen?
Yeah.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, that's fancy. What does it feel like to stretch it? Do you get nervous it'll break?
No, I don't get nervous about it breaking, but I like to stretch it very, very tight. And the linen has a beautiful surface to it. It's
It
a little
does?
bit different than cotton duck. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I painted on it maybe in school once. There's so many ways that you learn. Like if you do send your kids to art school, or if the girls go to Porter's or something like that, there's so many old school ways that you learn. Like I learned that egg tempera. I can't remember how we did it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, and then I didn't do like the color wheel at all. Really, I don't know how many people do, but you have to do the color wheel. Do you have to teach the color wheel? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
You do? I mean, it could be fun. It's laborious. So do you say like, okay, stop the color wheel and have something else going on? You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember just for me, I have the attention span of nothing. And so I needed a couple things going on. So I really would have enjoyed your classes. And you teach beginner, all of it, intermediate, advanced. What's your favorite class to teach? Like right when the kids are going off to
I
art
guess
school?
I like the what we call the advanced interdisciplinary seminar. That is mostly the senior group, and they're really talented and so great to work with. But it's fun to work with the beginners too, because sometimes they discover that they can paint, and
they'll stay with it for 4 years.
or they find something out about themselves. It's good.
Well, that's so much fun. I can't believe it. Do you live on campus still?
No.
But you did for a while.
Right.
All 27 years? No, all 20?
23 or so.
23
Yeah,
years?
Yeah.
Same house, or did they move you around?
We moved a couple times.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
I like moving. I mean, people always say, I mean, my sister didn't like it so much, but I moved a lot when I was a kid, and I loved it. Every single time I loved it. And then I guess I had no anxiety there. But my sister a little bit more, so she was always nervous, like, oh, new friends and this and that, and I didn't mind it at all. And I never minded if we went to a better house, or because we went all over the place. We went, at one point, we lived in a condo, my parents and I and my sister in downtown Northampton. That was kind of fun. But we didn't care. It was kind of going a step down, but we didn't mind. We lived right down, within walking distance. So, I mean, the campus of Miss Porter's is pretty much it's pretty much most of Main Street, isn't it? Just like Boston University owns most of Commonwealth Avenue. But most of Main Street is very picturesque. And I think a lot of people would say it's because of Miss Porter's buildings. Do you know how many buildings there are at Porter's?
I'm not sure what the count would be.
No? Yeah. So let's talk about this painting behind us. So a lot of this painting here, I noticed a lot of the buildings at Miss Porter's, but Grier said it's not necessarily a plein air painting. He made a lot of it up. And so a lot of the buildings you can see his light. I mean, I don't know if this would be early morning or just right when the sun sets, or right? I'm thinking when the sun sets rather than the morning, but it could be. Just to me, it seems like more like it's setting. But I don't know. I can never tell early morning from sun setting, but there's certainly a lot of light going on. And then where did you start? Just by, pencil, right? Everything else, sketching it out?
Well, I had a color over the whole surface, a kind of neutral color, and then I was drawing with a little round brush, like a number 12 synthetic brush. So it was like a line drawing, and things started to come and go. The people arrived. This was inspired by a guy who makes all the stone walls.
The stone man?
He still builds these amazing walls out of stone, and so people kind of come and go. There's a lot of searching and painting things in and painting things out.
And is he the stone guy right here with the hat?
Yeah, it was inspired by the stone guy with the hat now. Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe it. And then the other people are just significant people in the area. I know that guy's helping him. That may be his wife.
It's actually a second version of the same guy, because he finished off his work with that saw.
And then you put him back in the painting.
Yeah.
And then he has women that work with him, or women that support him?
He actually does, I think, have a daughter who works with him. But, it's not literally about anything. It's sort of what I call a fiction or a figure of speech. Yeah.
A story in a painting. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorite paintings. Some of my favorite paintings I haven't even shown, just because You know, a lot of people think they're weird, but they are, you know. I painted one at the Fields Club where my kids used to swim, and they had those fake mermaid tails, you know, on, and they all were posing, you know, paint us, and, you know, they're all in their mermaid tails, and I thought, who the heck's going to buy that? But it's one of my favorite paintings. It's just kind of, you know, it was a moment in time. It tells the story. All these girls are in their 20s now, but you can tell exactly which girl is in which mermaid tail.
wow.
It's kind of neat, just like you have people here. What about the girl going down the stairs with the black dog? Sure.
Yeah, there are actually
10 minutes. It's perfect.
three people going down the stairs, and as you were mentioning before we went on air, that the paths are important. So they're sort of bringing us in through and down and around.
Yeah, the paths are kind of going in and around Porter's, and then these structures in the background that sort of looks like a game of Minecraft. It's sort of neat off in the corner there. I don't know what that is, but it's city, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like going to New York City.
Right.
So Grier does a lot of work in New York City. How many shows have you had there? A lot, right?
I've had 6 shows.
6
there,
shows in
of
New
my
York
own,
City?
Yeah.
Solo shows? Mm-hmm. And with the same gallery? Different ones?
3 with Bowery Gallery and 3
Bowery
with
is a big one.
Some others, yeah.
And the Bowery, is it still the most, like, with a place where all the artists live? Like Chelsea, Bowery area?
It started in the actual Bowery. It's now in Chelsea, but the original gallery was in 1969.
And they're actually called the Bowery Artists, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole group of them? I can't even believe it. That is so neat. I don't know any of the ones that were in probably Joe Albers, right? Maybe Joe Albers?
Albers,
Not
I
so
don't
much.
remember where he used to show, but he's
He
a
has some of the
major
same,
figure.
some of the names we know that fly around. That's the one beauty of getting a little bit older, because some artists live to be 100 and some don't. And so it's neat, the lives of the artists. Mm-hmm. I know when I was growing up studying the arts, we didn't study a lot of the Warhol, we didn't, Basquiat, not at all. Not at all, but that's very popular now.
Yeah.
But Warhol, I take a lot of his, I use a lot of his opaque projector stuff and with a lot of my work, especially if I'm doing, you know, when he's did this Campbell Soups and a lot of those drawings. But I think he got so much fame from the, you know, the nightlife and the partying and the fun and the, I don't read a lot, but there's a new book on, it's called Swans. Who is it? It's Capone, I think. What was his name? Was it not Al Capone? I can't remember which Capone. But he was the playwright guy. And he hung out with like Onassis Kennedy's sister and Warhol. And it was just a big group to be in. And it's sort of like if you were in that group, you were kind of like, you know, entitled to the fame. And that would have been a tough crowd for me to run with because, you know, I like to have a good time, but I don't like to go that crazy. But it was kind of like an interesting crowd. Did you live in New York City ever?
Yeah, I lived there for 11 years.
You did? Where? In the Bowery?
In Brooklyn.
You did?
Yeah.
God, I can't even believe it.
From 85 to 96.
You did? 11 years.
Yeah.
God, that's so long.
Yeah.
And then, did you have roommates?
No.
You didn't?
No, I lived in the same place all that time.
You did? Mm-hmm. In a teeny little thing?
Yeah, kind of garden apartment, and that was my studio also.
It was?
Yeah.
Were you up or were you on the first floor?
First floor.
And then you could just go down the stairs in the back lawn and have like a little brick patio?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, see, those are really nice. Well, now Brooklyn's super expensive. Were you near like Park
Slope?
Yes.
Not too far.
Really?
Yeah.
Clinton Avenue?
I know where that is. It's pretty
You
close.
really do?
Yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Prospect Park, that's right. Mm-hmm. There was like, I went in to visit my friends a lot because a lot of my friends lived in the city, but I got nervous in the city. I didn't know where I was, and I was also really bad with like, you know, where am I? I looked like a target because I just don't know New York at all. But I did love St. Mark's Place. I always had something, I loved St. Mark's Place. It was very artsy,
Yeah.
bustling.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, you know, maybe you could like afford to live there. Now it's crazy. Brooklyn's very crazy expensive.
Yeah.
We have 5 minutes. It's perfect actually because I just drank 2 things of water. It's really a problem. Everybody has these big gallons. Do they do that in your family? Like, does your family drink a lot of water? You know, people keep saying, Dawn, you know, the doctors especially, Dawn, we're going to flush this out of you. And I'm like, I can't drink any more water. I mean, that's all I do is drink water. And it's a problem when you're a teacher like me, because I've got like 3-4 classes in a row. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, running into the bathroom. It's crazy. But, you know, when I was a kid, my mother wasn't chasing after me with a water bottle. I know we had water bubblers everywhere, though. Like, even on Miss Porter's campus, there's one, like, over here that you can, you know, that little one that you step up to, and it's like, a, you know, you step up a couple stone things. I wonder if he built it, actually. But we're noticing more and more the tradesmen and how much care. I just had my chimney rebuilt by a mason. And I think he did it pretty quick. It cost me a lot of money, but you just can't find that sort of work anymore. You know, I wouldn't mind learning a lot of that. As a matter of fact, if I were to switch careers, if a trade wouldn't take that long, like my career, you know, getting the master's in education and all that, that took a long time, but I wouldn't mind working a trade, especially if it didn't take me a long time to learn that trade. You know, I think, you know, just like us, you master your trade over time. But I think that's something that I, you know, wouldn't mind doing. As a matter of fact, I'm putting a lot of my money away just to kind of think about my second life. You know, what am I going to do next? I'm always going to paint pictures. Do you get your any paints online, like Amazon?
I order through Dick Blick.
You do?
But
Yeah.
online, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
And then do you still
some in
use
person.
Winsor Newton?
No.
You don't?
No.
Brombacher?
Well, sometimes I use a little bit of Winsor Newton in the first coat of
Oh,
the
what do
painting.
you use?
But when I did a lot of plein air painting, I used to use a lot of Winsor Newton because they're small tubes and they're great. It's really good quality paint.
Yeah, I like it too. And then what other brands do you use?
I use Williamsburg.
I've never heard of it. Really? England?
It was originally made in Brooklyn.
It was?
Yeah.
Williamsburg?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I've never heard of
Yeah.
it. And then when the number goes higher on the paint, why is that more expensive?
It's a more costly pigment. So cobalt is probably series 5 versus,
Okay.
you know,
Because I never noticed
umber
that.
is series 1.
Even with the acrylic paints, I mean, they're not anywhere near as expensive as oils, but some of the numbers are different, even with the acrylics. Like if you buy like maybe a neon color, I always wonder if there's a couple. Have you heard of Scott Pryor out of Northampton?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He married Kurt Vonnegut's daughter. Isn't that crazy? Nanny. And she's also an artist. She does more like craft stuff. I'm so glad he says 2 minutes. 2 minutes. But yeah, his work's pretty exclusive in Northampton. He's very, very good. I'm sure it's oil. Like, I don't know where he went to school. Do you?
I'm not sure.
I don't know how old he is, but one of his more famous paintings is of Nanny. I don't know where they live in Northampton. I probably walked by him a million times. I'm sure my dad knows him. But my dad's always like, don't bother people. I'm like, Dad, there's Bill Clinton. And he's like, don't bother people, Don. That's why they're in Northampton. They don't want to be noticed. You know, a lot of people in Northampton live there. Like James Taylor, I probably walked by him a million times. You know, but you don't bother people like that because that's why they live out where they live. So, you know, Northampton's a great place to get lost in a crowd. You know, it really is. I could see you kind of like in Northampton.
I do. Yeah.
You really do?
Mhm.
I know. It's someday you'll have to come out and see where my parents live. I love it. And the Smith College Art Museum is brand new. I haven't even gone in it. Maybe once. And then they have the Smith College Campus School. I think Uma Thurman went there. I think she went there. And then, you know, we have a pretty big Jewish population, which you might not have known about, but a lot of my friends that were Jewish went to Smith College Campus School, but then there was like a Jewish school kind of over on Prospect behind that nobody knows about. But all of my Jewish friends went there. And so that's kind of neat too. So I'm looking at this painting before we wrap up. Do you have a show coming up? Is there anywhere somebody can view a show?
I have a show up now at the Cohn-Josloff Gallery in Cheshire.
Cohn-Josloff Gallery in Cheshire. I love Cheshire.
It's part of Cheshire Academy.
It's at Cheshire Academy?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Can anybody go, or do you have to make?
Yeah, it's up through November 23rd.
November 23rd. That's perfect because it's been such beautiful weather, so that Cheshire's a beautiful place, and it's kind of on the way to. I'm trying to think how to get there. It's pretty close to Farmington. Wrap it up, Rich is like. So we're going to have to wrap this up. I was saying we're going to do a couple episodes, but we decided that I didn't want to paint with Grier today because I didn't even know what we were going to paint. I thought we'd talk a little bit about him. Miss Porter School, if you want to go in and check it out someday, if you have daughters that might want to go there, it's a great art program and a great school. Thanks for coming on the show, Grier. I'm so glad you did. And thanks for tuning into The Crack of Dawn. I'll have a new guest next time. It's going to be Coachy. We're going to talk some hockey. We'll see how that goes. Maybe some numbers. We need to know how many days the hockey season is right now. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope everybody has a great... Oh, and a shout-out to the people that came to my show, Eileen. And I can't read your name on the card, but that was amazing. I almost cried. So thanks for doing that. And we'll see you soon on The Crack of Dawn. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Thanks, Grier.
Welcome.
I know, that was so nice. Sometimes they keep going, so you hear us.
Sometimes life just happens. Don't worry. Farmington Motorsports will get you back on the road and at a fair price. From towing to tires, emissions to transmissions.
Our ASC certified techs do it all.
Farmington Motorsports is a family-run business. We're a Napa Auto Center and AAA approved. We work on all makes and models from preventative maintenance to major repairs.
And every repair is backed by our 2-year, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty.
When life happens to you, don't worry. Farmington Motorsports.
Follow us on Instagram at nutmeg.tv.